We currently have a crazy deal going on over at poodlecfb.com. If you use code BACKTOSCHOOL, all lowercase with the number 2 in the middle, you get 50% off the annual plan. And if you use code BACKTOSCHOOL2025, again, all lowercase with the number 2, you get 40% off the monthly plan. That is the best deal we've ever ran over there. Make sure to take advantage. This is a locked-in grandfather deal, so if you lock yourself into this deal, you have it for the lifetime of your membership. So come check it out, sign up, don't miss out on the best deal we've ever ran. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Poodle back with another CFB 26 video. And in today's video, I'm going to be going over what's the most important thing when recruiting. Now, before we get to the video, guys, we recently dropped a position change series over on poodlecfb.com. We have a string of videos going through each position that individually break down the best ways to position change, stat increase, stat cap break across every position. Our admin Cape is going through one by one, creating a video series over there. We have our guide up live and being updated weekly. We also have all of our other new tabs that have been added, playing time, deal breakers. It's really come a long way in the first 2 to 3 months. Throughout these few months of learning, so make sure you check it out, guys. Remember, code BACKTOSCHOOL, all lowercase with the number 2, gets you 50% off the annual plan, and code BACKTOSCHOOL2025 gets you 40% off the monthly plan. These are the best rates we've ever had on poodlecfb.com, and of course, it's a grandfathered in deal, so if you lock yourself in while this is still live, you are locked in for the remainder of your lifetime over on poodlecfb.com. You're grandfathered in, so lock it in. Come join the best place to be in the fastest growing Dynasty community. We have over 1,000 active members. If you're not in there, you're likely being outplayed and outdominated by someone who currently is in there. So come check it out, guys. You don't want to miss it. And of course, if you haven't already, Chalkboard, we have a free $20 discount. If you use code POODLECFB or use the link down below in the description or in the comments, it will be the pinned comment, you get a free $20. No deposit, no strings attached, no ID, nothing. It's free 20 bucks. It's a great way to kind of get your feet wet in the pick'em space. Go check it out, guys. We have some Sunday night football. We have Sunday morning football. We have college football on Saturday, Thursday night. There's games all week long. Go check it out, guys. But let's get into it. So we've been playing this game for a few months. And just like last year, we evolved in our thought process for how we did it. So in CFB 25, what was king when recruiting was hours. And while that still does apply, there's a key difference to how you obtain hours. So last year, hours were easy. You got the tier 4 recruiter, and you can get up to 65, 75, 80 hours, depending on your coordinators. Once you had the hours max, basically, you would just dominate and bully people. This year is more of a strategy-based approach. So it definitely changes, because Elite Recruiter, not only is it hard to get, it was hard to get last year. But the difference with Elite Recruiter last year was that the hours were in Base Recruiter, so someone could get that first with their coordinators and then outproduce someone and unlock Elite Recruiter. This year, everyone starts on even footing outside of current coaches, and a lot of competitive leagues didn't use current coaches. So this year, hours are a lot harder to get to, which changes our approach. And over on poodlecfb.com, this is where the thought comes from, is that a lot of people are always asking me, should I hard sell here? Should I rug pull here? Should I do this here? Last year over in the chat, I did not get nearly as many questions about that. It was very simple. People would ask me what package to buy. How many hours? Is this enough hours? Look at how many things I'm dominating. Look how many 5-stars I'm bringing in. This year is, should I hard sell? Like I said, should I rug pull? Should I go after this recruit? This year is a strategy-based recruiting year, because unless you start one of the top tier coaches, like I said, a lot of competitive leagues didn't, you're not going to have access to all the greatest stuff, and you're going to have low hours until you get to Elite Recruiter tier 4, plus having your coordinators with it. So hours are a lot harder to come by this year. So the strategy has changed greatly. And with the recent update, that also did take a little bit of a dive with this, because remember, with the recent update, they did fix off-season visits, which make packages based on visits a little bit more important. So this year, it's more of a strategy-based year. So when recruiting last year, it was very simple. You'd go in, once you have your coach set up, and you would just go into recruiting, and you take whoever you wanted, basically. Once you had your hours set up, you could take whoever you wanted. Going across the board, you wouldn't have to look at any of this. So if I get rid of my webcam real quick, you're gonna see on the right hand side there, see LSU's at the top, LSU's at the top. These are all guys to go for, and you just knew if you had the hours, you were good to go. Now if you come down here, even last year, you could come for guys like this, like, oh, there's not many top tier guys in here, just Auburn. With 80 hours, you can come in. But this year, it's a little bit different. And like I said, with the questions I'm getting, I could tell that people are feeling the same way I'm feeling about this. And that's where the consensus is, that when trying to recruit this year, it's more of a strategy-based recruiting system. So that's why I'm going to go through a few things that I heavily emphasize and things that I tell everyone that's more important to kind of help you with the strategizing. So this year, starting interest is key, because it's more of a mental game this year. So that's why for me, packages like tier 4 talent developer, which is going to be a boost, a pipeline bonus, is so important. That's why tier 2 recruiter has recently entered a lot of our top coach builds, because increased starting interest. Having increased starting interest plays a huge role, because what I've seen a lot from people this year is week 1 or week 2 or preseason, week 0, they're always asking me like, do I go after this guy? And they'll be in second place, they'll be in third place, which last year was a no-brainer if you're a top-notch recruiter or you have your coaches. This year, because of starting interest, you know that if you both start at 50, you're behind the 8 ball. If you can't schedule if you don't have a timely visit, if like you don't have a home game week 2 through 5, you're behind the 8 ball. If you don't have the top package, you're behind the 8 ball. You don't know how to gain back ground, unlike last year. So this year, starting interest is so important. Starting in first wins like half of the battle for you. That's half the battle mentally from other people to back out, especially people who are more conservative on the recruiting side. But that also lends a hand to program builder, like we've talked about, with upgrading your best pipelines, picking schools with good pipelines. Last year, we didn't care so much about picking schools with good pipelines because I can go into a non-pipeline state, non-pipeline recruit with 80 hours and just outright win them. This year, you need your pipelines high to increase your starting interest. You want to pick schools that start with good pipelines, a lower tier school that has a 5-star or a 4-star pipeline. You want that because it actually increases the strategy for how you bring players in and how you're perceived. But furthermore, that's why I've moved away from my recruiting build as my main build, because Strategist does a few things for you that actually help you when strategizing, especially with the recent patch that actually made it so visits in the offseason work. So this year I got a lot more questions about setting up the ideal complimentary visits, making sure you schedule guys on the right week, having the 8-visit package from CEO, because it's all about strategizing this year. So for me, I lean Strategist heavily a lot this year when recruiting, and this may not seem like a recruiting based package, but it is. It goes such a long way for a few reasons. Boost the complimentary visits for quarterback. That is huge because again, when you're at 50 hours and someone else at 50 hours and you're behind them just by a little bit, the only way to outgain them is by getting a hard sell ahead of time, which doesn't always happen. You know, it's luck of the draw. I've had weeks where I had 1 green and I had it for 3 straight weeks. I could not get another green. I could not do process of elimination. That happens. So boost complimentary visits allows you to get a better complimentary visit. Visits have a bigger impact. That's huge because visits are a big determining factor this year. Last year, again, people are like, oh, they don't matter. This year, they don't matter. They do when you're operating under 50 hours. A visit makes or breaks it. There's times where I see a recruit and I see a guy get a visit week 3. Mine's week 5. And I'm like, yeah, I tell people just pull out now. You're going to waste your points because they already have a lead and they have the early visit. And it's like, it's on a bye week. They're not going to lose it. That's a big deal. And then having the lower deal breaker threshold plays a big role because there could be players in your pipeline who have you first on their list, but because you don't meet their deal breaker, or players that you would typically win, or tiered players you want, but since you don't have the deal breaker hit, you're locked out of them. And then of course, mind reader, the last one, increased chance to learn dev trait, allows you to also cherry pick high dev players. Strategist is one of the most well-rounded for strategizing. It makes sense. It's strategizing how you're going to play this game. I think Strategist has taken a big step forward this year, and I think it's taken a bigger step forward than recruiting. Now, I do love, like I said, Tier 4 Elite Recruiter. I think increased weekly recruiting hours is probably the king of both games so far in both years. The problem is getting a coordinator to upgrade their whole Elite Recruiter to Tier 4 across the board is going to be almost impossible outside of the video I dropped last week where you try to like move them towards it. But for most people who don't follow my videos or don't follow like that exact tactic, it's going to be almost impossible, especially if you don't have the right setup for it in that instance. So it's going to take forever if you don't follow that tactic. So let's say for 80% of people, especially people who don't watch, they're not going to be going the hours route. It's going to take forever. And then on top of that, you also have to get lucky to find 2 coordinators that also get Elite Recruiter. That's why it's become increasingly tough to actually get to the hours, and a lot of people are punting recruiting. When I say punting, someone asked me what that means. What that means is like, it's like in fantasy football when you punt the running back position and you draft them late. It's the same thing. People punt recruiter because you can strategize your way through. This is a huge strategizing year, and that applies for everything you do in this game this year. When doing this, more the merrier was something that early when we first started this game, everyone's like, oh, that's fine, I'll just do a few. But sometimes you only have one good week. Sometimes you only have one home game week 1 through 5. So you could fit in all your recruits on week 8, and you can make them complimentary visits, and you could do it a certain way. More the merrier has taken a big jump forward, especially with the transfer portal being fixed, because now you can if you're the first guy online in advance, you can now add 8 people to that week 1 in the transfer portal. So all put together here is that if you don't understand recruiting strategy this year, you're going to be behind. I feel like a lot of people are still playing with that mindset of like, I've had a lot of people, friends, family, people who text me, they're like, hey, recruiter's the move, right? We got to get to Elite Recruiter. I'm like, yeah, but there's just so many stipulations where Elite Recruiter could fail you if you don't get the coordinators, if you don't unlock it early, if you're only in a 6-season league. The first 4 here don't really do much, in my opinion, outside of Tier 2. Tier 2 is great, but people are just mindlessly upgrading Recruiter and missing out on the strategy. A lot of people over on poodlecfb.com and you guys on YouTube who do follow the videos, you guys win your recruits not not mostly because of your packages in this year's game, is because you know when to rug pull. You know when it's time to pull out of an early recruiting battle that you know you're going to lose. You know how to do complimentary visits. You know to be on early to get your visits in early. You know to get the right packages to maximize your visits. You know all these things. You know that you need to get a blowout to get the extra points on the visit. There's so many things you guys know, and that's the way you're winning recruits this year. And I've seen it. It took me like 2 to 3 months of just like studying the game and playing and hearing from people to realize it's a different game this year, recruiting in terms of across the board. Because last year, like the ones who followed here knew what to do. You guys knew what you needed to do to win recruits, but this year, I'm seeing it across the board with just people commenting on YouTube. So if you're not doing that, you need to begin shifting your mindset to doing that. And that applies when you look at these recruits week 1 and strategizing off rip. Last year, I could bully my way. I picked who I wanted. I'm like, I want him. I need that guy. I need that guy. I need a quarterback. I had 80 hours. This year, I'm like, okay, this guy's 4th place here. And let me drop my webcam again. You're going to see there was Clemson, Bama, and Ohio State. I know that guy kept Ryan Day. That guy has the Alabama coach, and I'm like, and the Clemson coach. And I'm sitting there like, this is tough. They're all in. Let me sit this one out. Last year, I would not have sat this one out. And that's going to be why strategizing is important, because remember, it increases your floor and your threshold when recruiting. Because if you go after a bunch of guys in tight races like this with only 50 hours, you run the risk of only securing 2 or 3 of them versus going after guys you know you can get, especially when going for elite recruiter, or trying to get your blue chip ratio up, or just trying to bring in good classes to replace players, because your roster can very quickly slip behind. But guys, that was a mouthful. I hope you guys do understand where I'm going with this. If you guys need help strategizing, comment down below. Ask me your most pressing questions about how to strategize recruiting. Always tweet at me or comment down below with strategy questions. Like, here's a photo of 2 guys I'm going after. What do you think? Who should I pull out on? And eventually you'll start to like get an eye for it. Like, once I start answering it, or other guys in the community start answering it, you'll start to get an eye for like, yeah, drop out that one, go after that one. Why are you even touching that guy? In our chat and over on poodlecfb.com, people have gotten very good at it. We have community members all day helping out with stuff like that, because once you understand it, it becomes an entirely different game for how you approach this. There's so much depth to recruiting this year, considering hours don't override everything. You could have been the most strategized guy last year, and 80 hours with elite recruiter still just blows you away by week 2. But guys, about it for the video. Don't forget to check out poodlecfb.com. Remember, code BACKTOSCHOOL and BACKTOSCHOOL 2025 get you 50% off the annual or 50% off the monthly. Best deals. Your grandfather didn't lock yourself in. Fall's coming. Winter's coming. You're going to be inside playing. College football season's going. This is the time to lock yourself into the best rate of the year. Of course, free $20 over on Chalkboard. All you got to do is sign up with code POODLECFB, all caps, or use the link down below in the description or in the pinned comments. It's a free $20. No ID, no deposit, no credit card, nothing. You just sign up, you get a free $20. It's a great way to test out on some of these games with money that's on the house. It's not your money. Go check it out, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm out. Peace.